All right, Scary Alvarez podcast is back with another awesome fade for some music that won't sue me for using it, which I always love. That worked out really well. That Build Me a Buttercup was not protected by the YouTube bots, which is cool. Well, I'm Scary Alvarez, the king of Wisconsin Badger Twitter, Wine Island enjoyer, cherry wine destroyer. Jake's grandpa and Cindy's plus one when she'll have me. And I'm very excited at long last to welcome Wisconsin wrestling coach Chris Bono to the show. Chris and I were chatting in the green room about this a little bit. This has been a long time coming. We've been kind of going back and forth on this. So it's very cool to have Chris here today. And it's exciting for me to have someone who's not associated with football or men's basketball. I think that's always, I love those sports and everyone knows that, but that's kind of a big part of my brand here. But giving some love to a lot of the other awesome Wisconsin sports that I didn't care about as AD is very important to me. I'm just kidding. I love all my children. So let's Coach, welcome, and let's get right into the questions. And believe it or not, at some point in this podcast, I'm gonna let you talk. That's always a surprise for the guests, because you know how I am in a room. You started as a Wisconsin coach in 2018 when I was still athletic director. So I'm the one who hired you, obviously. Did you let me win the arm wrestling match we had before you signed that deal?
Yeah, for sure. When I found out that that you were a high school wrestling coach before you became a football coach, I for sure had to let you win the arm wrestling contest for sure.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate your candor. A lot of people wouldn't have the guts to be honest with me there. And yeah, the reason that the wrestling thing didn't work out for me is I got too used to body slamming everyone around me, including some of the opposing wrestler parents in the audience. I get a little enthusiastic with that, and I pivoted. I have that linebacker mentality, Coach. That's just kind of the way I am. You know that from being back when Nebraska linebackers actually played. So take me and my millions of listeners through a day for Coach Bono during wrestling season. And you can skip the bathroom parts unless it's really interesting.
Right. Oh, my day varies a lot. That's what I like about this job. But I'm up very, very early. I like to working out and getting my workout in is very, very important to me. And I don't ever want it to affect any part of my day. So I'm usually in here by 4:45, 5 in the morning to make sure I get my workout in. And then we have our practice actually at 8:30 in the morning with our team. So it's we have breakfast around 7:15 as a group in here. We practice at 8:30, and then the day goes from where it goes. I'm usually whatever I got to do. I usually cut off by 2:30, so we can make sure that again the guys come back for a little run and a little lift. And then we get through that, and then we finish up in the office after that. And during the season, I'm actually home a lot, to tell you the truth, because I'm in practice every day. So the day could end going to a high school wrestling match. The day could go, going to see a coach at the school or whatever it is. But it's usually something. But it's not like once we get out of the office, the day's over. The phone's always on. We're always texting, always recruiting somebody. And I try to shut it down by 9 o'clock to start winding down and try to get in bed. So whatever it is, but a lot of office work, a lot of meetings in between there, but back at it, 4:15 in the morning, I'm up and try to shut her down by 9:15 if I can, if that can happen.
I'm exhausted just hearing about this. And you probably know this. You and I have had some conversations that I've never slept. So the concept of sleep is different for me than for a lot of people, but the only gentleman, Brady Collins, jumped on a few weeks ago. Strength and conditioning. I'm sure you met Brady, and you two are probably the only two people competing for that 4 a.m. slot on the DJ circuit. That's amazing.
Hey, that 4 a.m. parking spot's important in the morning. I see his truck in there. I try to beat him here. He's an animal though. But I also I walk by the football weight room every day coming up to our facility. And he's always got some good tunes going on as you're walking in. So right when you get in the building, you can walk by that weight room, 4:30, 5:15, whatever it is. And he's got some good music to get you fired up as you walk past that weight room.
That's good stuff. We've had some coaches in the past, Brad Bielema being one of them, that rolled out about 11:45 in the morning. So they missed that early stuff. But anyway, that probably won't be the last time we talk about Bert. So obviously you got into a little bit of your day-to-day stuff. I'll just get right to the point here. How is the 23-24 Badger Wrestling squad looking? How are things going right now?
I really like this team. This is a team that resembles what we used to do way back in the day, right? We're not as talented as we used to be. We don't have really, we've got a couple of guys that are, a couple time All-Americans, and they're our leaders, but we've got a lot of gritty guys that haven't accomplished their goals yet. And they're kind of ending towards their career. And what I've seen this summer and spring and summer, their work ethic, they're grinders, they're hard workers. They'll do whatever it takes to win. But they're not as talented. So it's kind of our, I know that cliche is everybody says it, but this is one of our blue collar teams that I'm very, very excited about.
Well, I feel like that kind of fits in with the Wisconsin ideal. I mean, that doesn't sound too strange to me. And I know you have a blue collar team, and that implies to me that you have that sense within the group that you don't want to, necessarily shout out various wrestlers over others. But I'm kind of in charge here, so I'm gonna force you to give me a couple of names of guys that you're especially excited to see wrestle this season, given the fact that you love everyone. Is there like a wrestling equivalent of a Heisman candidate in this team?
Yeah, for sure. We have two of them. Eric Barnett is a couple-time All-American at 125. He'll start the season ranked, fourth or fifth in the country. And then DJ Hamidi at 165 is a couple-time All-American, and he'll start the season ranked fourth in the country. There are guys that are the Heisman trophies, of wrestling that they'll be able to contend. But then we've got guys like a transfer from Michigan, right from Iowa Grant is Max Mailer, and he has looked amazing. He's using his fifth year. He came back home, looks amazing. At 174, 184, Shane Legal, right from Spring Green, Wisconsin, came back too after using his eligibility up at Loras College to come home. And then we've got a guy, Luke Meckler, who's from Stoughton, who went to Oklahoma State and transferred in this year. Three new guys that nobody's really been around, but I'm very excited that have had a real good, summer around here. And I'm fired up to watch them compete.
Would you say that legal is so good it should be illegal?
Yeah, there you go. Right. Amen.
Love it. So here's a name that you and I had talked a little bit about off camera earlier this summer. I feel a little bit regretful that I didn't know the full situation, but Braxton Amos is one of your most talented wrestlers, and my unpaid intern Joe Ferguson has got me up to speed that he had an injury at the end of last season that has taken his trajectory on a little bit different course for this season. I understand he's redshirting at some level. Can you talk about Braxton?
Yeah, Braxton had a real devastating injury at the NCAA tournament in the first round. Shoulder popped out. He got it popped in and tried to keep competing in the first round, and it popped out again. And it was just a nasty injury that required surgery. And so, yeah, it's going to. He's actually going to take an Olympic red shirt year, where he's not going to compete again. And hopefully he's healthy enough to compete in December at the U.S. Open to qualify himself for the Olympic trials. In April, and try to make the Olympic team in Greco. So you won't see him in a Badger singlet this year, but he'll still have 2 years of eligibility when he comes back.
Okay, that's good to hear, and I'm glad to hear that there's a plan for him, and this is not a career-ending kind of thing. And I want to be clear here, Coach. It's not just because he's the only one of your wrestlers who follows the Scary Alvarez account. I'm not specially singling him out for that. It's one of the wrestlers that when I see you tweeting and retweeting some of the stuff, and you're very good with that. If all coaches at Wisconsin had the same social media acumen that you have, not only the YouTube videos and all that stuff. I went back and kind of did a deep dive on some of this stuff because I'm very busy. Whether I'm in Ibiza at a concert, hanging with the DJ or something, or at one of my 17 Spanish and/or Caribbean wine islands. There's a lot of distractions in my life. So sometimes I need to just unplug, go and find out what my coaches are doing. And I was real impressed with that. And so, some of this, I'm not saying it's identical, but Fickell and his social staff are doing a lot of stuff like that too, where you're getting a little bit more of a peek inside what's going on with the way they do things. Is that something that you feel comfortable with? It seems like you do.
Well, yeah, you owe it to your followers and your fans, right? We ask these guys to buy season tickets. We ask them to support us. We fundraise. So for me, I want our fans to feel like this is their program. No questions off limits. we take the good, we take the bad. There's always people out there that are going to hate on what you say on social media. But I believe that your true fans, your true followers really enjoy waking up and seeing what's going on in the program. And, they feel like they're a part of it. And that's what we want them to be here. We want our people that really care about us and our fans to feel like this is their program. And they should know what they're, when they buy that season ticket, they should know when they come in there who the starters are and who's healthy and who's going to be there. And, get them all fired up to get in that field house and get loud.
Well, that leads me to my next question. I know a recent match that you all had with Iowa set an all-time attendance record for Wisconsin wrestling, which was very impressive. And that's quite a program you're going up against there. By the way, you're an Iowa State guy, right? Is that did my research correct? Okay, you're a Cyclone. So does that add an extra? I'm not trying to create bulletin board material, although maybe I am. But when you go up against Iowa in the Big Ten, or whether it's a tournament or a dual meet, is there a little extra oomph there, being both a Badger conference rival and also an Iowa State Cyclone?
Yeah, I mean, they've been at the top of the mountain. Number one, that's why I want to win. It's not because I was a Cyclone or I'm a Badger, right? It's the bottom line is they were the standard for a long time, and they care about their wrestling. It's like a lot, and everybody in the country knows that's a huge win. Everybody's trying to knock them off. But I've got a lot of extra motivation to beat those guys. I mean, throughout my career, I've always competed against, Iowa Hawkeye guys. I've had guys that, the Hawkeyes have kept me from winning national titles. He's kept me from keeping me off Olympic teams and world teams. And, it's just one of the iconic programs in our sport. And not many people beat Iowa. So a win over Iowa is very, very important.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And you did, though, break through, and you do have an NCAA championship. Do you not, as a wrestler?
I do.
Okay, when was that, and what weight class?
1996 at 150 pounds. And what's good about that is I had to beat an Iowa guy in the first round of the tournament to get there.
Oh, that's good. That's good bookending. Well, I was coaching that, and if I would have known, I would have tried to get you to transfer, and you could have been a scat back for me or something at 150. And that's a little light. And we had some good backs. A guy named Ron Dane, you might have heard of back in '96. But you guys could have been a thunder and lightning kind of combination.
I like it.
Good stuff. Well, anyway, getting back to my initial question, the fact that you've had some good results with attendance. What sorts of things, and this is part of why I wanted you on this podcast, is there are obviously higher profile sports in Wisconsin sporting the lexicon of number of teams. What sorts of ideas do you have, or we can collectively work on to get the average Wisconsin student more interested in wrestling? Because I mean, volleyball wasn't always what it is now. Volleyball is an incredible sport that is highly attended. I'm not trying to compare wrestling and volleyball; they're just different sports, but something clicked at some point with the program, and then that became a thing at the field house. So, I would love to have something like that happen with wrestling.
Yeah, I go to all the volleyball games. I love Coach Sheffield. I love what they're doing, and I love the environment there, right? So you've got to create an environment that people want. When I leave a volleyball game, I feel good about myself. You know what I mean? I went there. I was listening to the band. I sang. They were dancing. They're throwing stuff in the stands. But the bottom line is they're winning. And, they're beating national ranked teams. They're winning Big Ten championships, and they won the NCAA championship. I guarantee you, if we start winning, and when we start winning, that people in the stands will be just like volleyball. And then soon we'll have a DJ, or we'll have a band, and, we'll have smoke and fire and all that good stuff. But I think that people want to see a winner. And until you put, a winning team out there that's consistently winning the top, 2-3 in the country, it's a battle. But we're still working on it. And we got to do our part and put a great product out there. And I know the fans, any Badger fan will show up to teams that are winning and leaving that arena feeling good about themselves. That's what we want.
It's good. And I have to be, we kind of feel like we're all airing it all out here. I love the team. Those are some of the most enjoyable matches of any sports at Wisconsin to watch, and the success is unquestioned under Coach Sheffield. To say I do leave the arena oftentimes, though, feeling short and unathletic after those matches. It just, you can't help it. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not 6'8" like people think I am. But no, I agree with you. I think it's just winning takes care of everything, and hopefully that's something that you'll get it going exactly the way you want it. And like I said, this year you mentioned you have a gritty team of guys who might just shock people. I mean, it might, other people who maybe don't know, And so I know some of my best football teams have arisen from that kind of preseason expectation.
Hey, man, we're fired up. November can't get here soon enough.
Who do you start with?
We are going to start with Lindenwood on November 5th at home.
Gotcha. I look, I'm not telling you how to do this, but I might start with just to get a real big, easy blowout right away. Start like Madison Memorial or something. Just really, just I'm not trying to tell you how to do your business, coach, but then just really get that confidence out there. I don't know. It might probably illegal. I don't know. Right. Not sure how that works.
I love it. I like the way you're thinking.
So, what you probably get asked this a lot. People just stop you walking down the street. What is your favorite wrestling move and why?
Well, I mean, anything that works. I was a guy that liked to wrestle on my feet. Anytime I could get a single leg and pick someone up and put them down pretty hard, I enjoyed it. So it was definitely for me is being able to take somebody down to the mat.
Would you be willing to try those moves someday on PJ Fleck?
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Listen, our football coach is a savage on the wrestling mat. I'll leave that up to Coach Fickell to double leg PJ Fleck.
I'm telling you this, and I know people are trying to get Elon Musk versus Zuckerberg or some of these big high profile matches. There is no way in hell that PJ Fleck would accept any sort of physical competition other than standing in front of a mirror looking at yourself for 3 hours against Luke Fickell.
Hey, listen, our football coach will beat any football coach in the country in wrestling.
Yeah, and I think in football too, and also some would say in life. I gotta be honest. So I feel like I've asked you a lot of questions. Cards on the table. My favorite move is a high crotch takedown. I just there's something about it sounds fun. I feel like I got the kind of that agility. Am I barking up the wrong tree here, Coach, or is that?
Nope. That's a good one too. Very good one.
Gotcha.
Let me ask you a question. Do you like to do an outside step high crotch or an inside step?
Well, I feel like I have the versatility to do both, and also a medial step, and also maybe look. I know the difference between amateur wrestling and pro wrestling, but if you're asking me whether I'm gonna take a ladder onto the mat and do something off the ladder, I'm gonna do it, Coach. I mean, right. I'm gonna use all the.
We use a mat, not a ring, right?
No, I know that. Okay. I'm just testing you. I'm just testing you. This is a job eval. No, I know that, and one thing a question I was going to say to kind of that goes against this is, so you like to have a choice of something. So there are a lot of tests. A lot of your guys have tests coming up probably in 6 weeks or so. A cross-face cradle, a body lock throw, and an arm bar are in a burning building, and you can only save one. Which do you save? Cross-face cradle.
Cross-face cradle.
Okay. Can you tell? I know most of my people know why, but just for those who don't, tell them why that makes the most sense.
Cross-face cradle, you get to rip a guy's face off and cradle him up and pin him. That's a good thing.
I feel like for those listeners who are hearing this and don't know a lot about wrestling, I feel like we're set. This is a good thing, Coach. I think we're giving them reason to. This sounds, and I do know a lot about wrestling, not just thanks to my researcher Joe Ferguson. I feel like I'm learning from you, and I've done some research myself and watched some matches, obviously, before hiring you. But this sounds like some of the most awesome parts of hockey are the physical confrontations, the fighting, the things like that, and some of the violence. Is part of why football is so beloved, is the smash mouth nature of it. It seems like it's feeding right in that same kind of adrenaline rush. Seems like is something that wrestling brings in spades.
Yeah, for sure. That's 90% of it. That adrenaline rush when you get to pin somebody and celebrate a little bit. It's why we train so hard.
File. Have you ever made up a wrestling move yourself?
I don't think so. I'm a very basic guy. I don't know. I don't have a ton of creativity.
Well, I'm very unbasic, and I have a lot of creativity. So you and I are going to workshop this right now. We're going to come up with a new Bono move. Let's think of something. We can't use a ladder, and this is not a mat, so we can't use my stuff. We're not going to use like a leaf blower. We can't use any of that stuff. We're using legitimate college wrestling moves. and I want to. We're here. This is my one chance I have with you to do this together. Let's think about this. You're saying you're not a creative guy, but I've seen you do content. You absolutely are a creative guy. So we're going to do this together. I want to do something with an arm going behind the back, like pinning someone like that. What is something we can think of like? Use the name Rucci Scoochie. That's a football player to describe a dance move. We can come up with something
Oh,
like,
Rucci's a really good wrestler. Did you know that?
oh yeah, absolutely know that. Yeah, he came and helped. He helped Joe a little bit with the background stuff on this. But so I'm giving you free reign here, Coach. It's a
Hey,
new
listen.
move.
Anytime you can put a guy's arm on his back, you should pin him. Right? That's kind of what we say. So I don't know what we've got creativity wise, but I know when you get a guy's arm on his back, if you put it back there, you should be able to pin the guy. So whatever you think you could call that move, make it up and let's run with it.
Okay, I appreciate the latitude. And here's one thing. So after that move is used for the first time, tell me what the boundaries are for celebration. I know there's obviously you get penalties for doing too much celebration in football and basketball, but how much can your guys celebrate after they
Yeah,
pin someone or win?
you can do a lot, but I can tell you, I bet you 90% of wrestlers when they celebrate, they always hit a little flex in there, right? Their arms are hanging out. They always hit a little flex on somebody, or they point to someone in the stand. So you're allowed to do a little bit, that's for sure. And in our program, it's encouraged. You know what I mean? We like guys to be able to show their emotion and show who they are and not be so in their shell. Let it out. Let the fans see it. And definitely trying not to disrespect anybody, but also, it's to be able to throw another man down and pin his shoulders to the mat is one of the hardest things to do. So you got to be able to celebrate a little bit and enjoy the moment.
Love it. So along those lines, I have to do a deeper dive here that kind of has our worlds colliding. What would happen if a Wisconsin football linebacker stepped onto the mat with a Badger wrestler of the same size?
What are we doing?
It's
We're wrestling. We're wrestling. That's obviously, right? It'd be the same thing. Obviously, a wrestler should really win. You know what I mean? But if it's kind of if you put a Badger wrestler out on a football field against a linebacker, you obviously would probably take the loss. You know what I mean? So it is. In our element, we should beat almost anybody, right? On the mat, we should be able to beat any non-wrestler for sure.
Gotcha. That's a fantastic answer. That's almost like an Alvarezian answer. Well, let's just see after our respective seasons are over, and kids are sitting around with a little free time. Let's maybe revisit this, and maybe you nominate one of your guys, and I'll nominate one of our guys, and we'll do kind of a home and home where we have one on the mat. Maybe Turner will go or something, and then we'll do. I'm not sure how the football one will look. We'll do a drill of some sort. That's going to be great
for sure.
So this is a word association game. This is kind of the hallmark of, I'm sure you've watched every minute of every one of my podcasts, so you know this was coming. But I'm going to say a word or words, and I need you to tell my audience the first thing that comes to your mind, no matter how ridiculous it is. So don't think too hard about this. But these are going to be pretty easy. The Rock.
Entertainer.
Iowa wrestling.
I want to win.
I think there might have been something that was in there before that, and I saw you do a shift there. That's probably smart. Here's Austin Gomez.
Stud.
And for those that don't know, Coach, can you explain who that is?
Yeah, Gomez was our 149-pounder. Took fourth in the country, Big Ten champion. One of the best wrestlers I've ever been around.
Just an absolute stud from last season. That's one of the ones that I was super impressed with. The penetration step.
Basics.
Okay. Maybe less context is funnier here. And finally, Jake Ferguson.
Animal.
I agree. He is absolutely an animal. And I feel like this is my Jake Ferguson moment that we've taken every one of these podcasts to say that Jake is going to be the starting tight end for the Dallas Cowboys this fall in only his second year in the league. And what an exciting moment for the league to get to experience that. And I'm telling you right now, Jake will be The over under for touchdowns this year. I'm going to set it 8.5 for Jake.
I like it. I'm going over. Yeah. He's a beast.
Absolutely. Frankly, I'd take the over if it were 14.5. But
yeah,
it's good stuff. I presume that Jake's your favorite NFL player.
For sure.
Yeah, he's mine too.
Yep.
Here's what we talked a little bit about professional wrestling, and you understandably, I can tell you're bristling at that because these are completely different animals. So I worked on an analogy, and I want you to tell me if I got this. College wrestling is to professional wrestling as Spotted Cow is to Coors Light. Is that am I in the neighborhood, or maybe Spotted Cow is to water?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. By the way, Spotted Cow. What do you think of that stuff?
I enjoy it. Right? You have to. You live in Wisconsin.
It's good stuff. I say, I don't think they've got quite to the point where we're in grade school lunches where we're getting Spotted Cow to the children. That may or may not happen going forward. But I think for the 21-year-old college kids, I know there's some of those kids on my football team that can finally drink. It's exciting for them to finally try their first Spotted Cow if they get on campus. I know you probably have the similar experience with the wrestlers.
Right. Our guys don't drink.
That is, that's good stuff, Coach.
Right.
That's good stuff. Sure thing, buddy. Okay. The Big Ten in wrestling, and this is not for you, you know this already, but I think it's fair to say it's like the SEC in football. I mean, Iowa is Alabama, Penn State is Georgia. What is the plan for you? And you don't have to give any sort of tactical stuff, but what is the plan for Wisconsin to close that gap and be able to year in and year out compete with those teams? Because I know that's your goal.
Yeah, it's all about recruiting, right? We got to get the best kids that fit our mold and our program into our program, and then develop them, and get them to win at the highest level. That's it. It's you say the recipe is kind of simple. It's all about recruiting. It's all about retention. It's all about development, right? And those three things have become extremely hard with the circumstance of what's going on in college sports these days. But we focus on recruiting guys who want to be the best versions of themselves. And developing them, and then letting them out of the cage to go compete.
That was good. Tell me one funny or humorous thing about Wisconsin wrestling that my listeners would enjoy, and if there isn't anything you can make it up.
Yeah, funny. I don't know about funny or humorous. I just know we've got a lot of personality on our team. So at our little 8:15 a.m. meetings, if you walked in that wrestling room, there's always a laugh to be had. Whether it's these guys with their facial hair one week, or we every year at the end of the preseason, this is kind of funny, but every year at the end of the preseason we play a kickball game where it's 17 on 17, and they all dress up and like it's Halloween. So you've got people out there in tutus, you've got people in boots trying to play, and it's just a fun way to end the preseason and to really get ready to say, hey, starting tomorrow, it's game on, and we're looking to go win national titles.
That's great. Did any of them dress up as Brian Ferentz, pretending to be a Big Ten defensive coordinator?
Right. That's a good one. I like that.
Okay. That sounds like good stuff. And maybe this competition we had already set the groundwork for between wrestling and football. Maybe there could be a kickball game, a wrestling / football kickball.
We got guys that can't kick the ball. We got guys that can't catch it. I don't know. I don't know if we want that competition.
No, it's perfect. Kickball is the one sport where you could be literally an NFL caliber athlete, or NBA caliber athlete, or Olympic wrestling caliber athlete, and you could look like a blind child basically when you're playing. It's the great equalizer of sports, and that's why you just gotta. If someone were hypothetically into drinking, have a couple Spotted Cows or whatever, and just kind of go, or else have some soda, whatever you like to drink, and just go out there and have some fun. I think that's what it's all about, because no one is truly good at kickball. And if you are really good at kickball, you're probably a nerd. That's just super weird. You spend too much time doing that. You gotta get with life and do some other stuff. This is another one that coaches have bristled at in the past, but I'm going to ask it. What match are you most looking forward to this season?
Oh, I'll tell you what. Well, we wrestled Iowa State this year back in a small town in Iowa. It's actually my wife's hometown. So that's amazing. That's going to be a really, really in a small high school gym. That's going to be a really good one. But then again, any Big Ten match is it's just a different level. So we've got Ohio State that's going to be coming into the field house this year, which is going to be a battle. So I'm looking forward to a lot of good ones, and of course we get to take our squad into Carver Hawkeye and wrestle Iowa on the road, wrestling Minnesota on the road is always great. We get fired up for that too. So, but any Big Ten match is something that really is just it's a different level. It's a different level than any other match that we go into.
You better beat Minnesota in that match, or PJ Fleck is going to tweet something with his picture on it about Minnesota winning that match. Y'all are gonna win. That's fine. Okay, we're winding down here. This is a ranking thing that we do in some of our shows. I'm going to have you rank these three things. Number one being the most important to you, and number three being the least, but not necessarily not important, but just in a relative sense. A win over Iowa, being on this podcast right now, and your family. Rank those 1 to 3.
Man, do I have to be honest?
I demand it, and I like the fact this is taking some time. This is
Right.
this is going a different direction.
Obviously, right. All right. My family will listen to this podcast. We got to go 1 family, 2 Iowa, and 3 being on this podcast.
Oh, okay. But again, this is my follow-up question. If the same question, rank these things. If it were only being on this podcast, if that were the only choice, would that be number 1?
Yeah, it would.
Okay. You passed the test. You're holding on to your job. Everything is good today. This was super fun. Well, Chris, I'm going to ask you, Coach. Would you be willing to hop back on maybe, or have a couple of your wrestlers hop on this? Whenever there's free time. I don't know how that works, but maybe get one of your guys on.
Hey, we got to get you to some matches, and we got to get you in the press conference room, and we got to get you getting some content out there on your social media channels.
Here's where we are on this. And again, I'm not going to trust this to Joe, my intern Joe Ferguson. You have my DMs now. You're up in my DMs, Coach. That's a pretty sacred place to be. And I'm excited about this wrestling season. I'm going to be more invested in it than ever before. And I want this to be a memorable year for the Badgers. And hopefully, to the extent I can bring some Wisconsin fans along with me, that'll be even better.
All right. I love it. I appreciate it.
All right, Coach. You have a good day. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye.